Now, Liverpool endured a disappointing evening on Tuesday when they crashed out of the Champions League at the hands of Paris Saint-Germain. But what better way to get over a night like that than heading to Wembley this weekend for a cup final? Of course, Liverpool facing Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley on Sunday. And it's, of course, the defence of their title that they won in dramatic fashion against Chelsea last year, but also, probably most importantly, really, the first opportunity for Arne Slot to get silverware on board as Liverpool head coach. Now, of course, that Premier League title looks like it is in the bag anyway, but to add a domestic trophy as well would be really special, wouldn't it? So it is going to be a big day for Liverpool. Now, we have just been speaking to Arne Slot at the AXA Training Centre, which you can see just over my shoulder, to see how his squad's looking, you know, how he's feeling about this game, and loads to get into from this press conference today. And I will start with who is available, because it is a big question mark over a couple of players coming into this one and a few injury doubts. And I'll start with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Of course, he went off, didn't he, in that game against PSG. He turned his ankle quite badly and landed on it, and he looked like he was in an awful lot of pain. And so, not a surprise and very unfortunate to hear from Arne Slot today that Trent Alexander-Arnold will miss Sunday's game. Now, no question, that's a blow, isn't it? He's so vital for Liverpool, progressing the ball and so influential from right back. So he is a real miss for Liverpool and a shame. But if you're looking for some upside, it's that Arne Slot doesn't expect that Trent Alexander-Arnold will be out for the rest of the season. So if anyone's worried that might have been his last game in a Liverpool shirt, given all the question marks over his future, it doesn't look like that will be the case. But unfortunately, not going to be available on Sunday, which, as I say, is a big blow. Now, some better news on Ibrahima Konate. He kind of limped out of that PSG game as well. It looked like, you know, he was played down after the game. It was spoken about maybe more kind of along the lines of cramp than any sort of serious muscle injury. But Slot did say he has missed training since then. But fortunately, and the good news, as I say, is that he is expected to train today and make himself available. And I think there's no question that if he does train today, he will be straight on that team sheet on Sunday. He's absolutely vital, his partnership with Virgil van Dijk, isn't it? So I do expect him to be available, which is really, really good news. Now, of course, in terms of the team news, I guess the other worry for Liverpool supporters is the fact that Liverpool were taken to extra time, weren't they, in that game against PSG? They put a lot into it, a lot of energy into it. It's all about recovery from there. Now, it does help them that it's Tuesday to Sunday. Of course, that is quite a big gap as far as these players are concerned between games. And Arne Slot also said, in terms of tiredness, look, I made 5 subs in the game, so I changed 5 out of the starting 11. And if you discount the goalkeeper, because they don't do a lot of running around, then I basically changed half the team. So he didn't seem to be concerned about that. And of course, the downside of making so many subs in that game was I felt Liverpool did actually get weaker as the game went on. But there is huge upside in that, you know, the likes of Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, who came off, they should be fit and firing and ready for Sunday to hopefully put in a big performance. And of course, this game itself could also go to extra time, so you want that freshness there. And I don't think, with the fact that Liverpool have got the title wrapped up, they've got a couple of weeks break after this game, I don't think we'll be seeing Slot take off any key men like McAllister if this one is heading towards extra time. I think he'll want to keep them on the pitch to give himself the best possible chance of winning the game. Now, I did speak about Trent Alexander-Arnold being out, which is likely to mean a change at right back. Well, I say it's definitely going to mean a change at right back. Now, he was asked about that and asked about who his options were, and of course asked about the fact that Jarell Quansah was the one who came on, didn't he, against PSG at right back, and said, you know, is this the route you're going to go down? Now, he did try and play it down a little bit and said Curtis Jones can play there, Wataru Endo can play there, but let's be honest, I think he's just trying to throw a spanner in the works for Newcastle's preparations for this game. We do expect it will be Jarell Quansah, and he was asked about him specifically in the season he's had, being a bit, you know, it was a breakthrough season for him last time, being a little bit up and down, hasn't it, this time around. But Arne Slot really complimentary about Jarell Quansah in his press conference. He said he's shown in recent performance that he's outgrown just being a talent. He's done really well, and he has the attributes to play fullback. Now, what he means by saying he's outgrown being a talent is that he's established himself now in this Liverpool squad firmly, and that he is very much an option for him. And he praised his mentality as well, talking about the reaction to being substituted at half-time in the first game of the season at Ipswich, the way he's responded to that. And of course, the big news around Quansah today is the fact that he has received a call-up for England, the latest England squad and the first England squad under Thomas Tuchel as well. And Arne Slot seemed really, really happy about that and felt that it was very much deserves. So a lot of praise for him. A big test coming for him on Sunday. But his manager clearly has a lot of faith that he can live up to that. And I did think he did very well against PSG. And just on Konate, just had the opportunity to speak to him at the training ground there as well. So a good sit down with him to talk about Sunday, his season so far, and everything else that's going on for him at Liverpool. And if you want to read that, it's going to come out on Saturday around midday on my Substack. So do make sure you go there and subscribe. It's davidlynchlfc.co.uk, or the link is in the description below. So if you don't want to miss that in the build up to the final on Sunday, do make sure you subscribe to my Substack, and if you've not checked it out yet, do anyway. And now moving on from Jarell Quansah, this is not necessarily related to the final, I guess, but it's a talking point I've been asked a lot about, and it was put to Slot today. It's about Federico Chiesa and his like in the squad, the players who have not really seen much action this season. And the question was, has it been hard to get these players involved and bring them into the team because you've had so many games? You've not maybe wanted to change it up so much when it's been not many training sessions and opportunities to kind of have a look at how you might change things up, because of course Chiesa left on the bench, wasn't he, against PSG, and he thought maybe that would have been an opportunity for him. Any of the many games actually this season, he's hardly had any minutes in the Premier League this season, which is pretty disappointing compared to what was maybe expected of him when he signed. And I think Slot gave us a really good insight into this, actually, the reasons why Chiesa and the likes haven't really been able to force their way in. And he said it's difficult because these players hardly train with the starters. He said, for example, if we play on Saturday and then play on Tuesday, we play the game on Saturday, you do the recovery on Sunday, the ones who haven't played then train alone away from the kind of first teamers, and then it's going through the tactics on the Monday, and then of course you're straight into the game. So it's not a schedule that lends itself to giving opportunities to these players, or even seeing, you can't directly compare maybe Diaz and Chiesa's performances on the left wing in training because they barely train together. And I thought that was an interesting note, really. It shows how difficult it would be for a player outside of that 14-15 that the manager trusts to break through and get into the team. And I wonder if that's something that kind of has to change going into next season, and he has to rely a little bit more on the wider or the fringe elements of his squad, or if it is about what I've been talking about for a few weeks on this channel, is just using the same players over again, but having to maybe shrinking the squad a little bit. It's interesting to see. Now, of course, Liverpool's schedule gets a bit easier going forward. It will just be Premier League games once they've got this League Cup final out of the way. So will that provide opportunities for Federico Chiesa or Harvey Elliott to force their way in for starts? We will have to see, but it does feel a little bit, even though there is that training time now, it's still a little bit hard to see them breaking in. But we will see. Maybe you could even see Chiesa get on the pitch on Sunday and have a big moment. That would be fantastic. But we will wait and see and see if things improve for him before the end of the season, because otherwise maybe it could be an exit on the cards in the summer. Now, of course, we're talking about issues like that. We also talked about, even though this is a press conference about the Carabao Cup final, there wasn't much Newcastle chat. There was, of course, a question about the contract situations of the big three at Liverpool, and specifically this time we were talking about Virgil van Dijk. Of course, he made his comments, didn't he, recently about not really knowing where things are up to with his contract. He doesn't know anything, and he said if anyone says that they have a clue about what's going on, they're lying to your face. And this was all put to Slot and asked about, what do you think about this? Do you think, you were a little bit worried about Virgil's situation? And his response was, the only thing I know is that I want Virgil to be here next season. Now, I know I get a lot of concern in the comments about where these situations are up to with the contracts, but I still retain a confidence, and I say, Van Dijk remains extremely relaxed about the situation. I think Arne Slot would not be coming out and saying, I want Virgil van Dijk to stay, if he felt there was a chance that Van Dijk was going to be allowed to leave, because it's basically putting himself at odds with his bosses, isn't it, if that was going to be the case. And I just don't think he would do that. So I think there's confidence on both sides that's going to get sorted. I feel similarly around Salah, really, and I think with Trent, obviously, it's just a question then of whether he wants to try out Real Madrid or not. But I think with the other two, I think there's a real strength of feeling, really, that they will eventually sign, even though I understand why there's the nervousness there. But as I say, when the manager's come out publicly and said that, Virgil van Dijk saying he is still relaxed about it and feeling is around the place that it will get done, I still don't think they will be allowed to leave. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong, but as I say, that's the feeling I get from around the place. But of course, the sooner they wrap them up, the better. And I would also actually mention that you look at Bayern Munich recently, came very close to losing Joshua Kimmich on a free transfer this summer. Alphonso Davies as well was at the end of his contract, and yet they signed them up only in the last month or so. So it is possible to get your big players down to that last few weeks even of the contract and get them signed up. So I think Bayern have shown the way there now. Of course, Liverpool's job, with all this free time they'll have after the League Cup final is out the way, is to get those contracts signed, and let's hope that it does happen. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Of course, absolutely massively looking forward to this game. I mean, I think people get a bit blasé about the fact it's only the League Cup or whatever, but I mean, this is a Wembley final, and Liverpool, you know, they've had years recently where they've not got to these, where these have not been run-of-the-mill finals for them, or an everyday occurrence, and you mustn't forget that when you're in the good moments like this, where Liverpool are going down to Wembley to defend the League Cup. And look, you're looking at Arne Slot's first season here, Premier League title looks to be in the bag, and you could be talking about a league and cup double in his first season. It's incredibly exciting times, so really looking forward to seeing how Liverpool get on. These occasions are always fantastic. So of course I will be down at Wembley, very excited to head down there as always, and I'm actually toying with the idea of doing a kind of behind the scenes of the day as well, of what it's like for journalists. So if you're interested in that, do let me know in the comments, and I'll try and get that done, because I think it is good to give you an insight into that. Do let me know how you're feeling on that, and of course in the comments also want to hear how you're feeling about this final, how you're feeling about Liverpool, how you're feeling about the Chiesa, the talking points, Konate at right back in this press conference, because there's lots of talking points there. And of course, as I say, I will be down at Wembley on Sunday, very excited, and I will be there for my post-match review and everything else. So I'll see you guys very soon.